Alright, so let's talk about your quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Now, honestly, I kind of feel bad for Dak Prescott from this regard, just because if you just look at the whole scheme of things, he actually deserves to get paid. Because I look at Jalen Smith. He's a linebacker. He got paid before Dak Prescott. I look at DeMarcus Lawrence. He got paid before Dak Prescott. Zeke got paid a couple years early before Dak Prescott. And those are running backs, linebackers, and defensive ends, okay? A quarterback is the most important position on the football field, so you would expect Dallas to lock that down. They haven't. And I will say, Jerry Jones has waited way too long to pay Dak Prescott. I don't know if he's fully committed to Dak Prescott, but if he is, he's waited way too long. I know Dak has asked for more money than Jerry is willing to give him at times. There's been some reports that they have given Dak a pretty fair deal, but Dak feels he deserves more money. And honestly, I don't have a problem with Dak Prescott wanting to bet on himself and say, hey, I'm worth more money. I want that check. I don't have a problem with that. And again, I think a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL are overpaid. I thought that Matthew Stafford got overpaid when he first got his contract. I think Jimmy G got overpaid when he first got his contract. Kirk Cousins got overpaid. I think Carson Wentz is worth the money just from a talent perspective. But again, I mean, he didn't have the accomplishments to back it up. So in the NFL, as far as quarterbacks go, it's a next man up mentality. It's about projecting what you can do. Now, I don't know if Dak Prescott's hit his ceiling quite yet. I will give him the benefit of the doubt just simply because he's never had a Super Bowl winning head coach. So now he has a Super Bowl winning head coach. I don't think Dak has any more excuses this year to flame out and not make the playoffs. I know that last year the coaching wasn't great, but again, I think that if you're that guy at quarterback, you can put the team on your back and make the playoffs. Dak Prescott lost a little bit of stripes from me last year, and I had to call him Dak Bortles a couple times because, listen, the guy didn't make the playoffs last year in the worst division of football. Now, my whole thing with Dak Prescott is I think that he's a franchise quarterback. And I do believe, I know you have him probably ranked a little bit higher than me, but I think that Dak Prescott is one of the 12 to 15 best quarterbacks in football. And I'll give you a chance to, chime in on that, once I'm done. But either way, I think he's above average. He's around 12 to 15 range. He's closer to 12 than 15 in my opinion. He's smart, he's accurate, and he wins games, okay? And like I said, I think he's a franchise quarterback, but for the right price. I don't think Dak Prescott is worth top 5 quarterback money. I'm talking Russell Wilson money, what Patrick Mahomes is going to get when he gets paid. Aaron Rodgers obviously got paid a bunch of money. Those are guys I think deserve that amount of money. And the reason why I feel Dak Prescott isn't quite worth a max, like $30 plus million. I think that he's worth anywhere from about 25 to 28 million. I will pay him 30 million if I need to, but that's a little bit of a stretch. The thing that Dak Prescott falls short of as far as that category for me personally is I don't think he does anything at an elite level. And when he's had a chance to elevate the players around him at times, when Zeke's been hurt, when some offensive linemen have been hurt, when the wide receivers weren't as great, he hasn't quite done that. And he's had some talent in Dallas. He's had pretty good wide receivers from time to time, has had a very good offensive line. He's had Zeke, obviously. And, I feel the quarterbacks that are going to get paid, I think justifiably can get paid, either have to be talented enough for me to say they can elevate and carry a team actually and put them on their back, or they've had a lot of playoff success. And Dak Prescott's got 1 playoff win. 12 quarterbacks since he's entered the league have won more playoff games than Dak. He didn't make the playoffs his sophomore season, didn't make the playoffs this past year in the worst division of football. And my mentality was that, listen, I know this is a hot take for some Cowboys fans, but I personally would have drafted Jordan Love. Not because Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback. If I was Jerry Jones, I would have done what the Kansas City Chiefs did with Alex Smith, because Alex Smith's a very solid quarterback when he was in his prime. But I feel the Cowboys may have reached a ceiling with Dak, and I think that they could get a little bit better at the position and just take their swing for things. Because honestly, I think that if you put a solid quarterback in Dallas' offense, they'll be pretty solid and actually win you games. Like I said with Andy Dalton, I think that he can win some games with Dallas' offensive personnel because Dallas is a pretty talented team. And we've seen quarterbacks that have gone in the first round actually produce. And even the quarterbacks that have questions, Josh Rosen, Dwayne Haskins, Mr. Trubisky, those are 3 quarterbacks I think sort of have had questions, that have been first round picks the last couple of years. Mr. Trubisky's won a division. Dwayne Haskins, I think that he got better, the last 3 games of the season. I think that he has talent. And Josh Rosen, I wasn't high on Josh Rosen, but I think that if you put him in a better situation, he at least is a starter. So even the quarterbacks that have sort of disappointed up to this point that have been first round picks, you can win a lot of games with them. So I would have drafted Jordan Love or gone after a better quarterback this year because Dak, I'm sorry, I'm not paying him all that money. That's just my personal opinion. I would have restarted my salary cap and quarterback market and groomed Jordan Love or a young quarterback to sit behind Dak and take off because I think personally, Dallas has kind of reached their ceiling with Dak. And I don't know. I just think that it's a little bit of a time to restart. And if Dak Prescott's begging for all this money that is going to make him one of the top 3 paid quarterbacks in football, I don't think he's worth that for all the reasons I said. So my question to you, Mr. Cowboys fan, Tony Russell, how much is Dak Prescott actually worth? Does he deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in football potentially? What are your thoughts on the whole contract situation? You can chime in on anything that I said. And where do you think Dak ranks among quarterbacks in the league right now?
First off, I think Josh Rosen is one of the unluckiest quarterbacks in the league. I don't even know where he plays right now, but it's just, I think he plays for the Dolphins, doesn't he?
He does play for the Dolphins. Before you get into that, I will say it's all about situation. I think that a quarterback can have some success in Dallas and play well because Dallas is a pretty well-run organization. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just think, they just drafted Tua, and he came from the Cardinals, so he's very unlucky. He hasn't had a real shot to be that NFL quarterback yet. So, but as far as Dak goes, I think Dak is worth what he's asking for. Okay, I honestly do. I don't think we've reached his ceiling yet. And as far as overpaying people goes, Zeke I feel got overpaid. The running backs obviously got overpaid. That's why the Rams just released Todd Gurley because he was not living to his contract. And so, as far as overpaying goes, we already overpaid Zeke. So I don't. First of all, I don't feel like if we pay Dak, it'll be overpaying him. I feel like Dak is the future of the Cowboys. But like I said, we already overpaid Zeke. That was disrespectful. Then we played Jalen Smith, and we waited so long, and he was a 4th round pick. So you've been underpaying him for 4 years now. So it's time to give him his money. So you got a discount for 4 years. So overpaying him really, you've been underpaying for 4 years. That's what I got to say about that. And then as far as him reaching his ceiling with Dallas, I feel like, he reached his ceiling with Jason Garrett, not Dallas in particularly. I feel like Mike McCarthy coming in is going to help a lot. I just feel like him and Jason Garrett, they hit their plateau. I feel like Jason Garrett was kind of holding Dak back because that first part of the season, it was like we were rolling. We had a high power offense. We were taking shots down the field. And then the offense kind of changed. And it was like, I guess it was like we started the offense very well. It was Kellen Moore's offense. And then we kind of moved towards an offense we've seen before. It was Jason Garrett's offense again. So it was kind of weird last year. But I don't think Dak has hit his ceiling at all. I think he has much room to improve. And I think it was just, Jason Garrett being there that was kind of holding him back. And so we're definitely gonna see this year what he does. And as far as his contract goes, I'm gonna tell you 2 things. I know it's morally right to do, and I know the things that the Cowboys should do. What the Cowboys should do is, since we have all this great talent, I think they should wait it out, see what Dak does this year, and depending on how well he does, that's when you see how much you pay him, because this is a great team. He has all the pieces around him now, and so keep the franchise tag there if he's willing to play on the franchise tag, and keep it there, and we go through the season, and we see what Dak does. But as far as morally right goes, they need to pay him now because they waited too long. If this is truly your franchise quarterback, why didn't you pay him in year 2, in year 3? And Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't paid Patrick Mahomes yet, and he's won them Super Bowl. So, it's not that disrespectful. I guess it's just, something that, we had a lot of players to pay, and we just kind of pushed it along the road saying we can do this later, we can do this later. But, it's kind of like he lacks importance when you're paying, other guys ahead of him. So that's kind of disrespectful. But as far as Dak ranks in the league, I've said this before. I think he's top 10. And I think when he develops, he can be top 5. I just see the talent in Dak Prescott, and I've always seen talent in Dak Prescott. I think, I'm a little emotionally connected to Dak. I wanted him in the 2016 draft, and when we got him, I couldn't believe it. And then when he got the chance to start for us, and he brought us to the playoffs, that kind of that set it off for me. I was like, this guy is the guy that I want as my quarterback, and ever since then, I've just been emotionally connected to him. But like I said, I think he's a top 10 guy in this league. And when he hits his ceiling, I think he'll be a top 5, top 3 guy in the league. I think last year he put up some numbers. Some people say they were empty stats, but I think it was more than that. I think it was just he showed up. He started late. Okay, just it took him a while to heat up. It took him a while to heat up in those games. Our whole team would start slow, and then we'd pick it up towards the second half. So I don't think they're empty stats per se, but I think they definitely could have that persona just because we lost in those games where he put up those big numbers. And then in the other games where we put up big numbers, they weren't good teams per se. So I think he's going. And Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, he's not them yet. You know what I'm saying? I know he's not that yet. But I definitely see the talent in Dak Prescott, and he showed some of the things he does. It just shows that he has that Aaron Rodgers, that Russell Wilson, that it factor in him sometimes. And when you talk about him being in the league, his first 3 years, he was one of the most winningest quarterbacks since 2016, and he still is top 5 in that quarterback category, even after going 8-8 this season. So, like I said, Dak Prescott produces wins, and he's a winner, and that's what he does for his team. As far as elevating player goes, Amari Cooper was not doing well with the Raiders. I think he elevated him, but I also think Amari Cooper elevated Dak as well. But I think they elevate each other, and I think he makes him a better receiver on the field. So as far as elevating player goes, I think he has the potential to elevate players. I think he does that at a really good level.
Yeah, I tend to agree with most of those things. The one thing I will say is I'm going to give Dak one more shot. The only real thing that makes me, push back on Dak, the one thing that I will say that will allow me to give him the benefit of the doubt is the coaching situation. Because, like I said, I'm not the biggest Dak fan. I think that he's a franchise quarterback, no doubt, but I'm a little bit lower on him than you are. But again, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo get to a Super Bowl. We've seen Jared Goff get to a Super Bowl. Whether you want to rank Dak over Jimmy G or Jared Goff, I don't know who's better than the other, honestly. I think Dak is probably better than Jimmy G. You can make the argument he's better than Goff. But again, we've seen quarterbacks that have been close to Dak's level, and quarterbacks you can make the argument that Dak is better than, that have gone to Super Bowls in the past, So I feel if you give Dak a Super Bowl winning coach like Mike McCarthy, there's the potential that he can reach that level that you're talking about. And again, like you said, he probably did reach his highest level with Jason Garrett. I felt Jason Garrett stayed way too long. I think Jerry Jones kind of, had him acting as kind of a puppet. I think that you've kind of talked about that with me as well. Jason Garrett just kind of there. He's, Jerry Jones like to have his say in a lot of things. He's not your typical owner, I would say. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, like I said, I know what the right thing to do for the Cowboys is to wait this season out. If he decides to play on the franchise tag, is to wait this season out, see what he does, because this is the team that we built around Dak Prescott, and now he has the weapons and the coach to do what he needs to do to win. And if he doesn't do that, then it's like, okay, we gotta figure something out. And you're obviously not that $35 million, that $40 million guy that you've been saying you are. So I know the right thing for us to do, but what's morally right is pay him now And as far as what else did you say? I'm sorry, you said something about Jerry Jones, right?
Yeah, I think that Jerry Jones kind of was holding Jason Garrett in the franchise a little bit too long because he was kind of acting as a puppet for Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones like to have a lot of say in a lot of things that owners just don't. Some owners just don't have any interest in getting involved in. What are your thoughts on Jerry Jones and the role that he played with keeping Garrett around too long? And do you think personally Jerry Jones is going to relinquish some of that power to Mike McCarthy? Because honestly, I think Mike McCarthy is the type of coach that will allow Jerry Jones to do whatever he wants. I don't think he's going to have any problems with that, but I think Mike McCarthy is one of the guys where you got to let him do his own thing. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think Jerry Jones, he kept Jason Garrett there a long time. Jason Garrett was kind of a puppet, but there's also family ties there as well.
That is true.
Ties there as well. So I feel like he was emotionally connected to Jason Garrett, and he really didn't want to get rid of him. And you could see it this year. Well, as we were losing, and as Jerry Jones starts to see the fact that we had to get rid of Jason Garrett, there was no other choice. He was emotional about it. He was angry. He was sad. He had an emotional roller coaster, even on the radio show, and cussed them out. So he he went through it. With this Jason Garrett firing. So definitely he didn't want to get rid of Jason Garrett. And as far as his decision making goes, how he is as an owner, he definitely is one of the most he needs to control of the team. He wants credit when we're winning. Okay, he wants to be that guy that they say is the reason we're winning. All right, and you can see it. I thought he kind of changed this offseason. He let Mike McCarthy hire his own staff, so that was the start. But then that kind of got mixed signals when he didn't want the scouting department to help him with the draft. And I mean, he did a good job drafting though, so there really was no problem with it. So it's really confusing. Jerry Jones is a confusing guy to me. Yeah, it's just I think he's gonna let Mike McCarthy handle the head coaching things that he needs to handle, and I think Mike McCarthy. I think they talked about that during interviews. I think that's something that Mike McCarthy stressed, and I think he's gonna get the keys to Mike McCarthy and let him do what he needs to do to help us win games.
I tend to agree. The only thing I will say is Dak Prescott, you got no more excuses. I'm gonna be nice to Dak this year. I pulled his stripes, this past year. I called him Dak Bortles a couple times, because, I just like having fun on here. But either way, yeah, I think Dak, this is a prove year for him. Obviously didn't get the contract he wanted. I do think that now with a new head coach, he has the potential to have a fresh start, and we shall see. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.